Welcome to the dumbest smart guy podcast on the planet. This is the Central Unintelligence Podcast.
Welcome back. Pulled down the wrong fucking thing. Anyways, Jesus Christ, man. This episode's, we're fucked. That's all I gotta say. Well, we'll get into it. But before we do.
This isn't a doomer podcast.
It's becoming one now. This is Central Unintelligence Podcast. My name's Josh. I'm here today with good buddy Adam.
Greetings.
And today we're going to talk about why the fuck everybody trying to start World War III? Why can't everybody just calm their tits? Why's everybody got to be an asshole?
Why do we have to live in monumental, world-changing events like every year?
Yeah.
Every 6 months.
Us millennials, again, are having all these... It's one world-changing event after another. Fuck, man. I'm starting to think that they were right. The Mayans were right when they said that the world would end in 2012. It wasn't going to be an overnight thing. I think a prophecy misread could have been. I think that's likely... But that was the beginning of the end, I feel like. But,
and then the sequel trilogy came along and
yeah. But anyways, so before we get into that, if you want to follow us and help support us, you can go to YouTube, where you can like, comment, and subscribe Game Rage Magazine, and you can hear all of our other shit there as well. If you really don't like us, you can go to the website and you can find the contact us page and leave a goddamn fucking comment telling us we're assholes.
which some of you have already
done. And man, that means you really hate us, but that's fine. Probably, it's probably a North Korean actually that fucking did that when they got connected to the internet in the Ukraine. That's probably, anyways.
They're not connected. Dude, have you seen videos or documentaries of what they do when they get educated?
Yeah, I've seen them. They sit at
They
computers.
have Windows XP, but they don't do anything.
They just sit there and look. They just type, and there's nothing happening on the screen.
Yeah.
If you want to follow us on social media, you can follow us at All Gas. Oh, that's not Adams. God damn it, man. I'm retarded. It's too early in the morning for this. Game Rage Magazine, Instagram and TikTok. Game Rage Mag, Twitter/X. You can follow Adam at All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram, and you can listen to the All Gas No Trash podcast if you like music. Also, if you like fucking anime and mangas, you can go listen to Frank at anime_syndicate_podcast, where coming up this week, new episode where we will be watching a goddamn LSD trip of an episode of an anime called Dan Da Dan Dan or something like that, and it is wild. But anyway,
the animation's fucking sweet.
It is sweet, but it's crazy. So let's stay tuned for that on Anime Syndicate, and you can follow Frank at anime_syndicate_podcast.
It's about grabbing weenies and weird shit.
Getting wieners stolen,
it's my kind of anime.
yeah, it's Adam's anime. Anyways, old ladies gobbling cocks. But back to the topic at hand about everyone fucking starting World War goddamn 3 now. Okay. I don't know why people can't just why South Korea? Why do you need to feel that it's appropriate to take a drone, right? And listen, everybody does drones. That's fine. You can have a drone fly over somewhere and do reconnaissance. No one would likely be the wiser, especially North Korea. But why must you take a drone, fly it over their capital city, Pyongyang, and not only do your surveillance, really, but then drop a shit ton of fuck you Kim Jong-un leaflets? Why? Why would you do that? Because you know they're going to be pissed. Why you got to, rub it in? You know they're already on a hair goddamn trigger. So that's what they did. So South Korea decided to do that. And then, in response, old Kim Jong-un decided, old only fat guy in North Korea decided that what he was going to do, I think that's actually what it was. It was actually ads for fucking Weight Watchers and fucking ephedra-based, fat burners and whatnot. I think that's the leaflets that they dropped down.
Ozempic.
And that, yeah, it's just a bunch of Ozempic things. But why now North Korea goes and says, okay, fine, fuck you, first of all. So now we're gonna activate all of our fucking artillery units on the border, and we're gonna just set them there and wait, fully ready to go. And while we're doing that, we're also gonna blow up every fucking road and every rail line that leads into North, that used to connect us, that used to be connecting. Now we're for real cut off. And this also, either this is a genius move or this is going to be the stupidest thing they've ever done. Because, again, I mean, how are you going to invade a country that you want to invade to the south of you if you don't have any roads or fucking rail lines to get there, right?
That's what I don't.
You just fucking cut off your own.
I don't understand that.
Okay, so that's why I'm saying this may be a genius maneuver, because the North Koreans for, I mean, decades now have been rumored to have essentially been building these vast underground tunnel networks that are like, I mean, like you can fit full columns of like tanks and artillery through these supposed deep underground tunnels that the North Koreans have been digging. And they've been doing this since the end of the Korean War. They've been building these tunnels. So if you've got fucking 70 years with a spoon and fucking 800 guys, you could eventually dig a tunnel under the DMZ and bring it up into, you know, have little things into South Korea. Now, I kind of believe that's probably true, especially with the way that they've been learning from other countries and they've been learning how to do things. China's very, you know, I think China's very smart in having a lot of its people buy land like here in America. Well, North Korea is likely taking the fucking same route, and cool, they'll have dummy shell companies buy up land, put like a little, you know, office building or whatever that's just nothing on the inside, or a warehouse or something. And then you have your little underground tunnel come up right there. And once the building's up, under the guise of construction, you can hide the noise essentially, because no one's going to think twice about the noise it would make to dig that tunnel up and like bust out of the ground, right? Like there's no one would question that, because again, if everything's under construction. So that's a possibility. If they've done that, then this is a genius move, because now essentially you will now control all of the choke points that could potentially lead back into a land invasion of your country. You would force the South Koreans and whoever was defending, if they were to repel your invasion, you would force them to have to find and then take all of your underground access points. And then if they did that, they'd have to fucking fight you underground, which if you were going to be invaded, you could you just rig those things to explode and then you detonate them. And then now everybody's cut off. And then you'd force them to basically conduct an airborne assault to invade your country, which that's, if you've got a shit ton of anti-aircraft, well, that's going to be a slim to none chance for success potentially for that to happen. So could be a genius move, or it could also just be that they're North Koreans and they're fucking dumbasses and they just were like, fuck you, buddy, and I'm just going to fucking blow up these roads. So, I did think of that meme from, or not the meme, but the scene from fucking Team America when it's Kim Jong-il and he's like, why is everybody so fucking stupid? Like,
why can't they be smart like me?
Yeah, that's like the theme of the episode, I think. Also in that region, I mean, we've still got China again. A few days ago, China basically running the largest blockade drill of Taiwan that they've ever fucking done. Like 300 aircraft were involved in this. Like 30.
It's a lot of fuel to waste for nothing.
It's fuel, it's resources, and it's not for nothing, because it's kind of like what you were saying about the Dodgers, which you could check out on Trippin' from the Pine. It's dress rehearsal. It's dress rehearsal for war, right? That's what all of this shit is. And my firm belief is that they've been doing these drills for so long now, where they've been partially blockading Taiwan and doing all this shit. When the day comes that it's actually real, we're not gonna they're not gonna be seeing it. They're not gonna be ready for it, in the sense that they're gonna be thinking, oh, it's just another drill, more than likely, because they've been doing this for years. China has now at this point. And now if you've got every time, oh God, it's just them doing another drill, eventually you're going to lull them into it, because you can't go for years at full battle fucking response ready to go every single time. Like, people are going to get burned out of that shit, which is basically what China's doing.
Well, Russia did it with Ukraine.
Right,
they
exactly.
did it on their borders, and then Oh, we're not doing anything.
We're not doing anything up
I
here.
don't know what you're talking about. All right, yeah, we're invading.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how it'll go when China actually does this blockade and invasion to take Taiwan back.
They're coming right for us.
Yeah. It'll be under the guise of a drill, and then it'll be, oh, God, it's coming right at us. That's what it'll be. So, a
lot of fun stuff happening.
Yeah, and it's like, and this is the thing. This is what's weird, too, is it's almost like as if no one has the actual balls to start the World War III proper.
Because everybody's going to pull the victim card.
Yes, that's what they all want. Because everyone knows how revisionist history happens and how everything goes, if you end up being the winner, you can say whatever the fuck you want. But you still don't want people to be like, oh, no, we remember that shit. You weren't the victim, you asshole. You started this shit. So everyone's trying to goad everyone else into firing the first fucking shot is what it seems like is happening right now. Same thing in the Middle East with fucking Israel and Iran. All of the flashpoints that are potentially going to happen are everyone trying to make the other one jump. It's like in the NFL, like when you're trying to get the other side to fucking like false start or do an encroachment or whatever. That's basically what you're trying to do. You're trying to get them to fucking make the first move by accident, and then once they fire the first shot, as they say, there's no unringing that bell, and now you can go and do whatever. So, I think Israel's been trying to goad Iran into like actually doing a legitimate, real fucked up attack, and then that would give them full favor to go in and invade Iran or to do some sort of major air campaign against them. Just like, okay, Iran's responses haven't really done shit, so it's like, can you justify going in? Not really. That's why I feel like they've been trying to goad them by assassinating dudes in their country, fucking doing all kinds of crazy shit. And Iran so far hasn't taken the bait, and now it's Israel's turn to respond. And we are in this, what Iran was doing to Israel, now Israel's doing to them with this blue balling. Oh, we're going to attack you guys back. Don't worry. But like, it'll be soon, kind of, maybe.
Dude, Iran's like the Wimp Low of fucking warfare. Face to foot style. How do you like it?
Ha! I am the first to bleed. Therefore, I am the winner. So, everyone's trying to get everyone to jump, and eventually someone will. Like, it's just a fucking inevitability. It's not even a question of if, it's a question of when. Same thing now in the Ukraine. Now there's these, well, not reports, but like I've seen confirmation video that, yeah, there are North Korean troops, or I mean, listen, at least dudes of Asian descent that don't look like they're Chinese, because they're fucking tiny and they look fucking like they haven't eaten in fucking, I don't know, years.
There's Asians in Russia.
No, but like I'm talking about like they look like they're fucking North Koreans.
Yeah.
Like they don't look like they're just like, not to sound like an asshole, but North Koreans don't eat. Like they have food problems. They have food insecurity like on a consistent basis. So,
which makes me question like if a 1,000,000-man army does in fact exist, if they don't even have sustenance to be combat ready all the fucking time.
Well, see, that's the thing. We don't really know because North Korea is so secretive, right? We don't fucking know what it's really going on in there. Yeah, granted, they play this card that they don't have food or that there's famines and all this shit. It's likely, in my opinion, that we see that amongst the civilian populace. We get those from reports, right? Mm-hmm. I believe fully that their military, that's where all of their food is going, because North Korea does have quite a bit of farmland that is utilized for creating food. Now, I'm sure the government comes in and takes all that shit, and then you, the farmer, get left with like a pittance to maybe feed your family so you can keep farming, potentially.
I feel like they're probably getting MREs from Russians.
That's probably what it is. How funny is that? Like you said, oh, you get to go to fucking, you leave the country for the first time ever, and it's the first time you ever get to actually eat real food. But then that's the other thing. Wouldn't that fuck you up? Like if you've been eating like rice and fucking, I don't know, pittances, a little bit of meat here and there for like your whole life, basically just living off fucking rice. And now you go and you get to eat some shit that's not that. Wouldn't that like fuck you up? Like, in your, like, wouldn't that fuck your stomach up? And like, if you've never had that, and let's say you're 25 and you basically just only had rice and like maybe some beef, maybe some chicken,
probably
pork, that would fuck you up. But the diarrhea for days, man. Like, and that is the worst fucking thing, to be in a combat zone and have diarrhea. Like, that's the worst. But I'm sure that would give a fuck. Also, so that's the thing. So North Koreans have been reportedly 10 to 15,000 North Korean military personnel have supposedly been sent to Russia and have now entered into assisting with the Ukraine offensive, or the Russia-Ukraine war. And this, to me, is one of the most dangerous things that exists. And it's not because of the fact that, if North Koreans get killed by Ukraine, North Korea might say fuck this and launch missiles or some shit. No, none of that's a concern at all. To me, what's most dangerous is the very, I don't know what the word is, but the very obvious fact that North Korea has essentially not fought a war in 70 fucking years since the Korean War it had against itself. It's essentially been isolated from the world. Their military has essentially developed its doctrine as post-Korean War combat experience, and that's it. And everything else after that's been anecdotal. Nothing has been learned. A good example of this in a real-world situation is like the United States, right? We did not really have any legitimate military combat experience since Vietnam. And then when the War on Terror happened, there were guys that, like, especially in the special forces community, everybody had been taught by guys from Vietnam. And it was learned real quick that a lot of those things did not apply anymore, and that there were new lessons that needed to be learned for how to fight this new war and how shit was going here. So North Korea now has the potential to, they're claiming they've got now 1.4 million people, this million man army ready to rock and roll. If you've got guys going and getting actual legitimate combat experience, now their doctrine is going to begin to develop into modern warfare or into the modern realm. Whereas if they were going to invade South Korea, let's just say, for example, they'd essentially be likely using military doctrine that's based on 70-year-old shit that happened to them. And then maybe sprinkling in some anecdotes. But that's the thing. Who are they allies with? They're allies with China. They're allies with Russia. Those assholes, prior to the Ukraine war, none of those assholes had actually fought in a legitimate campaign since the 70s or 80s or fucking in those time periods. The United States military is the premier fighting force in the world because we have the most recent relevant combat experience amongst all of our combat arms, personnel within the military. So now Russia's sure been getting their shit pushed in but their guys are getting experience. And that is the most important thing. Honestly, equipment doesn't really matter. What matters is the experience of getting and learning how to conduct warfare. The guys that live and survive, they will be able to pass on lessons to the new guys coming in that will then make it harder to defeat them. And that's what's going to essentially happen if these these North Koreans get legitimate combat experience in the Ukraine war. And here's the other thing. The Ukraine war, in my opinion, this Ukraine war is on the forefront of what our current, modern, and future warfare is going to be like. The shit utilizing drones to drop fucking, munition on people.
And also suicide drones.
Suicide drones, right? That's the future of warfare, whether anyone wants to admit it or not. This type of shit with low-tech fucking, like the shit we did in Afghanistan, that's all going out the window. That's going to be gone out the window for the most part, because now everything's going to be all this drone shit. And we're seeing it play out live in front of us. And there's fucking tons of video to show it, because all those videos get released. So this is the future of warfare, and North Korea is now going to have a little bit of a leg up, at least on South Korea, because guess what? South Korea ain't in the Ukraine fighting this fucking war. And not that I'm saying they should, but I have a feeling that North Korea is going to heavily incorporate after they start getting real guys coming back and attempting to change the doctrine and to upgrade their military capability with their experience that they've had. I'm sure North Korea is going to heavily fucking invest in and heavily want those type of drone systems that can drop mortars, that can drop. I just saw a fucking thing on Instagram the other day that there's a dude that's now making and selling, he's 3D printing these fucking canisters that you can attach to the bottom of a drone, and he makes this button that you can hardwire into the drone controller, and you push it and it just starts dropping the fucking mortars. It's like set up perfectly for fucking mortars, and you push the buttons and it just dink, it just drops them from whatever height you're at, and will detonate them obviously because once the mortar hits, it detonates. So that's now the thing where it's kind of even easy to make this shit now. So, that's to me the true danger of, and the real problem that everybody else is going to see. Because I kind of think the reason why North Korea hasn't done shit and quote unquote reunified with the South is because of the fact that I don't think they're confident in their military abilities. Yes, they have enough dudes. They have the overwhelming odds or force to do it. But if you're not going to do it correctly or in a way that can lead to a likely victory, you're just wasting all these resources, this human capital that you've put together, and then your deterrent for someone invading you is now gone. So I think once they get this experience, that's really going to have them think, oh, okay, over the next 3 years or 4 years, we're likely going to see shit pop off in the Middle East. We're going to see China potentially going into Taiwan. And then North Korea is going to say, cool, we got all this experience. We kind of reshaped our military. Well, China gets to take Taiwan back. We want to reunify with our brothers in the South, the South Koreans, and we want to reunify the country now. So that's where I think it's going to lead. But,
But that's
whatever.
Also not assuming, or I think it's entirely possible that the Russians and North Koreans have been doing military education for the last couple of years, all to begin with.
Right.
It's not just Ukraine. It would have been. I mean, that thing they did 6 months ago about there was a summit between Putin and Kim Jong-un about the exchange for national security.
Yeah.
And also like weapons, and I forgot what else was included in this little summit thing that they were talking about. But I mean, for all we know, they could have been doing military exercises together. I mean, it's like the same thing with like NATO nations, right? They all kind of, all the armed forces kind of train with each other so that everybody's, caught up on different military hardware. Like if it's fucking an F-16 that Sweden knows how to, or Finland knows how to operate it, fucking if it's drones or whatever the bullshit is, that everybody's trained within the NATO alliance, right?
Yeah.
What's to say that North Korea and Russia aren't doing that to begin with, or haven't? They've already been doing that to begin with, and
yeah.
It's just not being said.
No, that's a valid point, and I do think that that's completely possible. But the point that I am making is that there's no substitute, and there's no better training than doing it for real.
Yeah.
And they are now getting that real experience, whereas before it's just been. It's like the NATO countries, right? Like, okay, yeah, you can fly F-16s or whatever in training, but that doesn't really mean dick until you use it in actual situations where, oh shit, like you're in combat now, right?
Yeah.
So those experiences of training and being trained up and how to do it, they're great and all, but they pale in comparison to the experience you get from actually doing it for real. So that's what I'm saying is that now they're getting that experience, that undeniable experience, and it's invaluable of doing it for real, because shit you do in training is just training. You're not going to change your military doctrine generally based on just training scenarios or what you're getting. Yeah, you're going to sprinkle in some shit from some other countries. You're like, oh, maybe that's a good idea. You know, we think that's kind of cool. But until you apply it in actual combat situations and say, okay, A, this does work, or shit, B, this doesn't work, and we need to do this. There's no substitute for that. Like, that is where the bread and butter of creating your military doctrine is in actual combat. And North Korea has technically not had any of that since, essentially, like I said, the Korean War. So they're getting it now. And that's where, like I said, I think it's dangerous. I don't think it was dangerous to have Russia fucking train them up or whatever. Because, again, we do that with our allies. North Korea will do with that what they will. But until they use it and experience it for real, it kind of is just, it almost means nothing. It's just, it's dress rehearsal for actual combat until you get there. And then once you get there, that's when you go, oh shit, okay, this is what it's like. These things don't work. We need to change shit. And generally, when you've had a country that hasn't been in combat for 70 years, their military doctrine is heavily going to change once you get into the actual fight of the war, which is, again, it happened with us when we went into this war on terror. You know, I'm sure it's happening currently now in Russia. Their military doctrine was basically the last major fucking conflict they were in was when they invaded Afghanistan in the 80s, essentially. And now that they have had this, I'm sure their doctrine has changed quite a bit over the last, how long have they been there? 2.5 years? Fucking almost going on 3 years?
Since 2022.
So going on 3 years now, 2.5 years or whatever, they've been in this combat, and I'm sure that their military doctrine internally has changed quite a bit from what they were at or where they were at when they went in before they went into the Ukraine. So, yeah, that's my fucking TED Talk, I guess.
Also, I don't think it's going to be a one-to-one experience of fighting. I mean, they don't really have any stake in it other than if they are being educated, then they just get, well, they're not just exactly going to sit back and watch. I mean, they're going to fucking intervene, but
they're going to participate.
I mean, the landscapes of Ukraine, Russia versus North Korea and South Korea is vastly different.
Right.
And I mean, that's not to say that whatever experience is not applicable to what they're doing, but South Korea as an enemy to North Korea, I mean, they also don't know what's in store for them on the other side of the border either.
Yeah, that's true.
So
it's likely going to be heavily urbanized combat. I mean, the Ukraine combat is not, I mean, it's urbanized, right? But it's not like South Korea. South Korea is a heavily major metropolitan cities. It's major urban combat, which fights differently than when you're fighting in open fields or whatever.
Yeah.
But again, them going from nothing, zero, to now having experience basically is still dangerous for South Korea because now you've given them experience or they've got experience and now they're maybe they're emboldened to do something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I guess like in a practical sense, if we were talking about like adaptation for South Korea, if you're talking about urban combat, I mean, Krav Maga was basically created for close quarters.
Yeah. Within
confined spaces because Jerusalem or, you know, all the most populated cities within Israel itself are such tight quarters.
Yeah.
That having a combat that's super efficient would reflect well on South Korea if it ever came to that. Like, I mean, sure, there's gonna be guns and everything, but
right.
Like when you expel
when you're out of ammo,
when you're expelled of everything, shit, maybe fucking Krav Maga will save your life.
Maybe. Who knows? Maybe you should look into that. I don't know. Anyways, you got anything else?
The Israel killing Hamas's leader.
Shit, that happened this morning.
And then Bricks fucking opting out of whatever Bricks' new currency is going to be.
Yeah, the de-dollarization that they're trying to do. India's like, we're good.
Now we're good.
We make too much money off of this America. And honestly, I don't even think that's like because they want to be buddies with us.
It doesn't matter, but it's still an FU. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it still helps us. I think the real motivation for India doing that is because they're like, we at the end when this all dies and everybody fucks each other up, India is going to be the last man standing. India is going to be the preeminent major population center of the world.
Not if Canada has anything to say about it. Apparently they pulled out.
Well,
Everybody's pulled out.
All their diplomats and shit.
Yeah, because of the
like
fucking...
Canada and India might actually start World War III at this point.
Yeah, that shit's wild, dude. They were so disgruntled about that Sikh, the leader of the Sikh nation dying.
I'd be pissed too, man. A foreign country came into my fucking country and killed somebody. I'd be like, go fuck yourself. I'm going to come fuck you up. Like,
yeah.
And Canada, listen, those Canadians are fucking insane. Me and Frank talk about it on episodes we do. Canada is literally the war crime fucking country.
Yeah.
Like, they commit the most war crimes. So, like, honestly, they're all nice and shit, but you really don't want to fuck with Canada. And I think India's fucking barking up the wrong tree with this. I think they need to calm their tits.
And the weird thing is, it's like, they have two bodies of water separating them in the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean. So it's not like an easy venture to just have warfare between these two fucking countries.
No, yeah, it's not.
So if it's gonna happen anywhere, it's gonna be by proxy. If there was a World War III, motherfucker, I'll see you in the fucking battlefield, you mother son of a bitch.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Canada's plotting that out right now.
Yeah.
Anyways, what else? I think that's pretty much.
Well, did you have anything to say about the Hamas?
Oh, the Hamas thing. Yeah. Again, Israel. They're doing war, man. Like they're cutting off they're doing what you should do when you're fighting a fucking insurgent organization. And I think again the reason why they've been so efficient and doing this is because we just spent 20 fucking years in their area doing this exact same thing. And of course we're guiding them and telling them exactly what the fuck they need to do because we've learned all the lessons that need to be learned. So now Israel can just go in with literally the backing of 20 years of experience and the knowledge of, oh, we know what doesn't fucking work right off the bat. So anything we do is potentially going to be a gold mine. And everything they've done has worked, essentially. The pager thing, all this crazy shit that they've done, it's all worked swimmingly. I mean, granted, listen, they're doing crazy shit and blowing up a bunch of people, but
within enemy lines.
Yes, it's effective. It's killing their enemy. Like it is effective. You cannot deny that fact. If you look at it from just a cold hard facts perspective, it is undeniable.
All right, I will add to your point about military prowess, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe not so much with Hamas, but something adjacent to that is like whenever they kill a fucking leader or we hear about it, that there should be like a degradation in leadership and experience and direction about what they should be doing. That's got to be fucking demoralizing to Hamas and Hezbollah if they're wiping out their dudes and they just keep moving down every fucking level. And at some point you're like, shit, man, we've been had.
So to me, the fact that they've lost so many leaders within their organizations and they are still existing and conducting semi-competent operations, this is going to sound like I'm jerking off terrorists, but like I kind of am, I guess, a little bit. That is their leadership structure and the way that they're structured. That is the way to conduct an insurgent terrorist organization because they're mainly decentralized because you've got these little pockets or whatever. So yeah, you can take out the dude who's the head of it, but then everybody else can still operate independently without that. So you essentially develop and foster this culture of leadership amongst all of your like mid-level managers because each cell has a guy that's in charge of it, or each little zone or whatever. So then you've got all these like guys that have leadership experience and can conduct operations that don't, you're just kind of like maybe guiding where they're going, but they're kind of independently operating their own little terrorist network, their own little Hamas network. And so that's the way to do it because then you can never cut the head off the snake. It's like in V for Vendetta. Yeah, you can kill him, but you can't kill him because he's an idea. That's what Hamas is. That's what fucking Hezbollah, it's an idea. It's not just some one asshole because if that was the case, when they kill the main head guy, this shit would be over. They'd all lay down their arms. But that's why this shit's never going to end is because it's ideology. It's not like Hitler leading the German army and once Hitler's dead, now the war's over. It's an idea. It's ideology. That's why it'll never go away. But it is military prowess. Like yeah, they are just anybody who gets to be in charge. They're just killing them. But again, that's what kind of sucks about it is it doesn't even matter now at this point because they could put in fucking Jim Bob fucking terrorist, Baghdad Bob, right? And like, it ain't gonna matter. Yeah, he'll get dead, but it ain't gonna stop anything. Because like I said, they've still been conducting operations. And also with Hezbollah, it's a little different because they are kind of guided by Iran, basically. They're like the terrorist arm proxy of Iran. So yeah, you can just kill dudes, but okay, well, they're still getting orders from Iran. So those guys are still getting orders, you know, to do shit. So you're never gonna change that unless you take out Iran, which is what they're aiming for. That's like the goal, to get rid of Hezbollah. But that's the thing. Even if you get rid of Hezbollah or get rid of Iran, Hezbollah will still operate. Because again, it's ideology. It's an idea. Those people that live will still do that. And now, a shitty side effect of this is you've now created a new generation. All these kids that their dads and their fucking families are getting blown up and killed. You are now creating the next generation of people who want to kill you.
Probably more, perhaps even more dangerous.
Right, which because now they have a real reason to want to fucking kill you.
Yeah.
So and
further ingraining the loathsome nature of their hate for Israel.
Basically, yeah. So I don't know. This is all fucked. We're all gonna die. That's the end of it. I hate saying that, but
nah, it's not a doomer podcast.
It's not. But fuck, man, it sure feels that way, man. It sure feels like this is the path we're on. God damn it. Maybe we'll do an episode where we talk about all the good things. It'll be like 3 minutes long. Like. Anyways, all right. You got anything else?
No.
All right, that'll be it. If you want to follow and listen to more of our shit, go to YouTube, Game Rage Magazine. Like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Game Rage Magazine on Instagram and TikTok, at Game Rage Mag, Twitter/X. You can also follow Adam at All Gas No Trash Official on Instagram, and you can follow good buddy Frank at anime_syndicate_podcast on the Instagram. All right, that does it for us. We'll catch you guys on the next one. That was the latest episode of the Central Unintelligence Podcast. Don't forget, subscribe and like on Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine. We're also on Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag. Also our website, www.gameragemagazine.com.